Okay, so we're going to talk about order of operations today, and we're going to introduce some fractions with the order of operations. But mainly we're going to start with this and kind of really focus on this. So the order of operations goes like this. It goes parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division are on the same level, because essentially they're the same operation, and then addition and subtraction are on the same level, because again, they're essentially the same operation, and we'll kind of explain why that is later. When you look at this, the reason we need an order of operation is we don't want to do every single problem from left to right. Like when I have this, we kind of want to be able to do different orders based on different things, and certain operations hold more weight or power than other ones. So parentheses are that man-made operation, so it holds the most power because we're saying, hey, we really want to focus on this. If you know how exponents work, it's repeated multiplication. So that's why it's more powerful than multiplication, because it's repeated multiplication. Multiplication is actually repeated addition. So that's why it's more powerful, or it's higher than addition. So the reason things have weights is because of how powerful that operation is. So let's take our chart and see if we can use it to solve this problem. So we would do parentheses first. Well, we don't have any parentheses, so we're not going to worry about that. The next thing we would do would be exponents. Well, we don't have any exponents, so we're not going to worry about that. The next thing we're going to do is multiplication and division from left to right. Well, we do have a multiplication here, which 10 times 12 would be 120. Whoops. And now what we'd have to do is we'd have to go to the next thing. Well, we still have a division, which is right here. So we do 14 divided by 2, or that'd be 120 minus 7 plus 15. Now we're out of multiplication and division. So now we'll do addition and subtraction from left to right. So the next thing would be our subtraction. So that would be 113. And then finally, we would do addition, which would give us 128. And that would be our final answer. So that's how the order of operations work. We'll go from this chart, so parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction, and just kind of go through and solve it as we go. Let's try another one. Okay, so we're going to do the order of operations again. So again, first we'll do parentheses. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to see my parentheses right here. So we'll do that first. And then we will look what operations we have inside there. Well, we only have addition, subtraction, so we'll go left to right. So 10 plus 43 would be 53, minus 5 would be 48. So we're going to get 48 from that, divide by 6, plus 5 squared. You'll notice when I've dealt with the parentheses, I can actually drop the parentheses. So they're dropped and they're gone now. Well, the next thing, we got rid of parentheses. So the next we look for our power. And our power is this squared thing. So this is actually 5 squared. So that's going to be 48 divided by 6 plus 25. Because 5 squared means 5 times 5. From here, we're going to go our next operation, which would be multiplication or division. So we have a division, so we'll do that next. That's going to give me 8, because 48 divided by 6 is 8. And then plus 25 is our last operation, so that would be equal to 33, and that would be our final answer. So again, we just go through our order, and we just try to see how it works out at the end. Try another one. This is an interesting type of problem that comes up. So this is negative 6 squared with no parentheses. So this is why this is an order of operations problem. You have to kind of be clever in how you solve this. So the first thing we'd want to do is we'd go and we go up. We have no parentheses, so that goes away. So the next thing we do is we do exponents. And you really have to look what your exponent is attached to. It looks like our exponent is -6, but that is not true. Your exponent is attached to the number right next to it. So our exponent is actually 6. And this negative sign is not in the exponent. It's just actually kind of sitting there. So the answer to this thing would be 36, because 6 times 6 is 36. And since we haven't done anything with the negative, we would keep the negative there. It's actually a different problem than -6 squared. -6 squared, since we have parentheses, we would do the parentheses first, which is connecting the 6 with the negative. So now the 6 and the negative are actually together. And so then when we square -6, that would be -6 times -6, which would give us a positive 36. So this problem comes up and appears a lot and is tricky because of the fact of parentheses versus no parentheses. If I have parentheses, that means the number I am squaring contains the negative. If I don't have parentheses, that means the number I'm squaring does not contain a negative. So there is no way that I'll do a negative times a negative. So it's going to actually leave it as a negative number. Where this, if I have parentheses, will actually change it to a positive number. Let's try another one. Okay, so in this, again, we would do the parentheses first. So I'm going to do the parentheses first. So again, the first operation we would do would be parentheses. So on the parentheses, we would get 9 plus 33 is 42, minus 6 is 35. So we would get 35 from that. We are then, or it might be 36. I'm going to double check. 9 plus 33 minus 6, 36, 1 off, close enough. So we get 36 from that, divided by 6, minus 3 squared. And we know from that last example that -3 squared, because it doesn't have parentheses, would be a -9. So we're going to actually get 36 divided by 6 minus 9. And now again, we have to keep doing the order of operation. So we do division next, which would give us 6. And then we would subtract 9, which would give us -3. So again, for all these order of operation problems, you want to go parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. We're going to try to do a couple with some fractions to remember some of our fraction rules. Okay, I don't have the chart in the corner anymore, but I'm sure we can remember everything as we kind of go through. The tricky part about fractions is you have to remember how to do some of the fractional operations. So we'll figure it out as we kind of go along. The first thing we'd have to do here is exponents. So this would be 4/9 squared, which would mean we have 4/9 times 4/9. And I'll write the rest of this stuff in. How you multiply fractions, if you remember from before, is you multiply the tops and you multiply the bottoms, which that would give us 16/81 divided by -4/5 minus 2/3. If you remember how to divide fractions from before, dividing fractions, we keep, they have a keep, change, flip rule, but really what you do is you multiply by the inverse, which we would flip that over. And again, multiplying fractions would be the same, which you multiply the tops and you multiply the bottoms. There's also really cool rule that you could use here with this 16 and this 4. And because you know that 16 and 4 are divisible by each other, you can actually cross-reduce. So this is going to become 4, and that's going to become 1. Now we'll multiply straight across, which would be 20 over 81, or whoops, negative 81, minus 2 over 3. Now for adding and subtracting fractions, instead of just being able to add straight across or subtract straight across, what you need to do is you need to have common denominators. So for a common denominator, I need this number and this number to be the same. So what I could do is I could multiply this top and bottom by 27. And the reason I would do that is because 3 times 27 gives me 81. So these things would be the same. Which that would be 20 over negative 81 minus, that'd be 54 over 81. And now you can subtract them. Anytime you see a fraction with a negative on the bottom, I always move it to the top. So I don't really like to have my negatives on the bottom, so I move them to the top. So I'm going to get negative 20 over 81 minus 54 over 81. And then what we can do is we could just subtract these two things. So we would just subtract 20, which is negative, minus 54. And that'd give me a negative 74 over 81. And that would be my final answer. Let's do one last problem. Okay, we're going to try this problem. Also, as I go through these kind of problems here at the end, if you struggle really badly with your fractional operations, I'm going to link some videos on some fractional operations because this video isn't really intended to teach you all the fractional rules. So if you struggle with the fractional rules, watch those videos or just ask questions in class to try to get them down. But on this problem, what we'd want to do is we want to go through the order again, which we have parentheses. So again, the nice part about multiplication is you can multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms, and you can also cross-reduce. So I'm going to cross-reduce right away because I have a 3, so I could divide the top and bottom by 3 right here. And I could divide the top and the bottom here by 2, which when you multiply straight across then, you get 1 over 4 divided by 2/5 plus 1/2 minus 3/4. From here, what we would end up doing is we'd have to do 1/4 times 5 over 2 because we have to multiply by the inverse. I can't cross-reduce here, so I'm going to get 5 over 8 plus 1/2 minus 3/4. In this problem, again, we can only add and subtract when we have like denominators. So I'm going to times this by 4. I'm going to times this by 4. That is going to give me 5 over 8 plus 4, 4 over 8, which is going to end up giving me 9 over 8. And now I need to get like denominators again so I can subtract. So I'm going to times the top and bottom here by 2, which is going to give me 9 minus 6, and that's over 8, that's over 8. So that'd give me 3 over 8, which would be my final answer. So again, on any of these types of problems, just make sure you're using the order of operations and you're going through all the operations. If you need any help, just let me know.